Hello everyone, my name is Laura and I'm going to be giving a presentation to you today about building a strong foundation of an entrepreneurship program. And unfortunately Maya, my co-presenter, was not able to be here with me, so bear with me, I'm just going to cover some of her content as well. Oops, that was too far. All right, so starting off with just some history about 971. Our rookie season was in 2002, and we've historically been a very robot-focused team with our mechanical, our software, and our electrical being prioritized. There were some years where we only had 2 students working on our award submissions, and many students volunteered at events. We've hosted a lot of events. We've worked on FLL tournaments in the past, but it was very in the moment. We just were like, we're doing this. Let's send a team of people behind it. But we never had a structured entrepreneurship department until very recently. Our first entrepreneurship, actually our first co-president role was back in 2020. She was our first person who did entrepreneurship. She joined entrepreneurship as a junior on the team and kind of worked through the process of having that be a separate team of students. Then our next year we had our first entrepreneurship president. And then entrepreneurship president was outlined as a role to focus on everything non-technical. So this is making sure you go through your onboarding, your recruitment, your sponsorships, things like that. And that was all grouped under entrepreneurship. So we broadened it from just being an outreach subcommittee into an entrepreneurship team. And then from there in 2017, that was the first time we had our a solid entrepreneurship team. And this year we won chairmans as well as, but the structure wasn't super sustainable. We had a really strong group of motivated students in that year that worked on that. But following that, we weren't able to continue at that level. So in 2020, when I first joined, we were in virtual meetings, about 4 or 5 of us who were working on entrepreneurship tasks, working with the TCA, the Compass Alliance, and other groups. Moving past that, I came in in 2022 to 2023 as the entrepreneurship president. And for this year, we started our year off with a business plan. So with our business plan, we wanted to organize goals. And we're talking goals of what do we want to accomplish this year? Are there specific awards that we want to go after? Or what aligns really to our team's philosophy? We are very strong on our innovation and on education. That is the foundation of our team here. We want to be giving students an experience where they are learning a lot and kind of being pushed in terms of innovating. You see that with our robot designs, but that's also in our approach to our new members, being able to involve them in tasks as they go so they're ready for the build season. And then as I'm also a mechanical student, I've led subsystems on mechanical side. So this is something I actually brought into the entrepreneurship side of the team. So I took the experience as a mechanical subsystem lead and broke entrepreneurship down into different subsystems. We had 6 subsystems this first year. Our first one was school relations. Since we are a school club, we are required to coordinate with our school's ASB, get all the paperwork, make sure we're all approved for our events. And then our second one was sponsors. Sponsorship was important because we want to make sure we have the money in order to operate a team. As all of you know, FRC does cost a fair bit of money in terms of our robot building and our software side and the electronics that all requires funding. So sponsorships are all on the back of our shirts every year, and that was something we're part of. Feel free to come up front. So we broke the next one we were talking about. The next subsystem is outreach. So outreach is what you traditionally see under an outreach sub-team. That is your demos. We do a lot of live demos. We've been at the Mountain View Tech Showcase for several years now. And just making sure we have a lead student on that who is coordinating all of these different events. So we've done MV Tech Showcase. We have done events at conferences as well. So Sensors Convergence Conference was one of our most recent ones. Other things that we've done is we were actually at the awards dinner for the semiconductor industry. And then this coming year, we're actually planning an FLL tournament. So our outreach activities have a wide range in the groups they reach, whether that be the general public, a very specific area where we are showcasing what we can do as the future of, as first talks about, we are raising the innovators of STEM for the next generation. So telling all the engineers out there and showing them what we're doing with our custom electronics in our outreach event at the Sensors Convergence. And then more of the general public, inspiring them and kind of presenting actually alongside some of your big tech giants like Google and NASA, since they are also Mountain View based, they're also the MV Tech Showcase. And then from there, you have your media sub-team. So most of you are probably here because you saw an Instagram post, this Chief Delphi, something on the website. That is all covered under our media team. So that is our 1, 2, 3. Did I go through 3? I went. School relations, sponsorships, and media, and outreach, yes. Okay. Our next one is more of your team, inner team. This is your team development subsystem. Team development is focusing on how you work as a team, the culture that you're cultivating, and getting to know one another, as well as onboarding. This is a lot of our processes here were with getting people interested in the team, but also retainment. And this was something that was important to consider because we want to make sure that we continue to grow the amount of students interested and also engaged. Because think of it like a company. We lose 25%. Every FRC team loses the top 25% of your team. You lose your most experienced students, and you want to be able to fill that role to keep your team sustainable and engage year after year. And that was something our team development role was covering, is how we keep students engaged and get them up to speed so that way they're able to fill those higher task roles. So the next thing, once we have clear cut our subsystems, is we go into gauging interest in different areas. So this was a broader topic of which students do we have on the team that are interested. We opened this discussion up to our whole team versus people who are traditionally involved on the entrepreneurship side, because some people may not have known about these aspects of the team. And this was important to us because we brought in, I think we tripled the size of our entrepreneurship team just by bringing in everyone, being like, hey, let's get names on the board, who wants to lead things, what are areas that you're interested in being part of. Or that be a small way, volunteering at an event, like Max here is running our camera, and he's volunteering at an outreach event. And different people are able to get involved in entrepreneurship in whatever way they can. And then we also have a limited scope as a team for how much we can do with the amount of personnel that we have, so we created a priority list. So going through the priority list and being like, if we do only one thing this season, what is that one thing that we'll be happy with? If we finish a season and we accomplish one thing, what will be the happiest with? What is our outlook? So we decided team development was where we wanted to focus a lot of our effort this year. So that went into a lot of recruitment, especially considering we're coming out of COVID, and we're getting a lot of people in the team. So I'll go into recruitment a lot more later. But we also, another main focus for us was our media. We had a very out-of-date website, and our website was at the point where it was losing updates on the security side, so we wanted to revamp that, and that was another one of our goals. So on the team development side, one large thing was our Fun Fridays. So every day of robotics is a lot of fun, but this was a cute alliteration to get the team involved in games. So these were games that got people talking outside of your typical groups that you see working together. It's got mechanical and software and electrical, entrepreneurship, everyone in one room for the same task. And it also prepared us for competition. Now, you may be wondering, how does playing a game of Jeopardy help you win competitions? This was how we got teams up to date on information and subsystems that they weren't super familiar with. This was our way of, instead of handing someone a packet, being like, read this packet, we're like, let's play Jeopardy! Oh, I slid. But It was marketed in a way with our teams, and this was actually inspired by something 3132 did. One of our mentors, Sarah, and one of our entrepreneurship students at the time, Maya, worked a lot on planning these games. We had a small team working on planning, that way we could get the most students and mentors playing. So this wasn't just our students, this was our mentors working alongside our students. And it was like improved game understanding. So some of it is like you'd have to do charades on a charge station. So we had students up here being like, teeter-totter, bounce, but they had to do it all acting. So like now here, I'm standing here telling you words, but it was a challenge for them. You had two students up there trying to demonstrate how do we act out a charge station and get our team to guess it. And you get points on that. So that developed your understanding of the game, as well as the other side of like just general team history knowledge, like that we are a NASA house team, and that was something we want to communicate to our judges, how that affects our team and like what our relationship with other NASA house teams are, and then our outreach projects. So some of the questions might have even been about Spartan series. So like, how many years have we been running Spartan series was one of the questions, and then you'd see like which team would get the answer. So it was all either in a Jeopardy format. We had $1 million pyramid one, Wheel of Fortune, a lot of different game shows in order to kind of teach these trivia knowledge. So the knowledge about our team history. So I joined the team in 2020. So this helped me learn about stuff that our team did in 2017, which was before my time. And then we had our newer members as well learning this knowledge. And it was a fun way that everyone was enjoying it to also learn about your team history. And then by that, it was very competitive, and like sometimes people would study just because they wanted to win the game. So before like Fun Fridays, we have team dinners all together, where our parents bring in like food as a potluck. So our meeting schedule works on Fridays and Saturdays. We do team dinners. Fridays we meet from after school to about 10 p.m. So we break for dinner in the middle. And our parents will bring in potlucks. We have different shifts for that. So oftentimes we just had students eating together with the people they were most comfortable with. So moving into Fun Fridays, we were breaking up those cliques that we may have seen before. And we had 4 equal teams. They were like labeled by colors, and this was actually split up based on experience and general knowledge of the team. So our students went through the roster and like assigned people 1, 2, 3, or 4 on level of like experience with the team. That way all the teams were balanced, and then the cliques were separated, so you got to know new people. And then the fun thing was with mentors, they weren't assigned a team. So the different students had to like negotiate to get mentors on their team. You saw being like, I'll get the CAD done by tomorrow if you join our team, for different elements, or we're gonna assemble everything tonight if you join yellow team, and then red team's like, nah, we'll assemble everything in an hour if you join our team. And it was just like the negotiation, and it actually was a fun way to get students motivated to get tasks done, because you'd ask the mentors at the start of the meeting, being like, okay, what can we do to get you on our team for like Fun Friday? And they'll be like, you can finish the CAD before dinner, and then we'll consider it. We'll join red team. And then the kids are all working really hard to meet that deadline. So Fun Fridays were a really useful tool for us for team bonding, for motivating students to hit deadlines, as well as improving game knowledge. There was also questions about talking to judges. So how do you talk to judges in a way that conveys your team's message? And these would be either judging questions that you'd be asked about our robots. So there'll be students who ask you a question, and you'll have 2 people answer the question and see which one answers it more clearly. And those range from robot questions of like, how many degrees of freedom does our robot arm have? All the way to, what is your favorite type of vegetable and why? We had one where it was like your favorite kitchen appliance, and those taught students to think creatively and related back to our values as a team. And that was what Fun Fridays was all about, preparing you for the judging questions, also highlighting our core values as a team as part of that. Recruitment. This was a major part of the 2022-2023 season. We were rebuilding from COVID, and we wanted to make sure that we had a strong team to take with us to competitions. And at that point, when I joined the team, we had about 15 students. Maybe 15 students. We had cohorts. We were allowed like 15 students max in a cohort, and we had 2 cohorts, but part of that was parents. So we had about maybe 20 students who came in, but then about like 7 of them graduated. So we had around 15 going into my sophomore year of high school who were committed and who were showing up. So recruitment was a big need at that moment in time, and it was asked at our leadership meeting, like, hey, who wants to run recruitment? I was just getting into entrepreneurship, and I was like, I got this. That was something that I ended up spending a lot of time with, and it is something I learned a lot. Like right now, I'm pretty sure the people in the back of the room can hear me. I've worked on my public speaking skills. Before I actually worked on recruitment, maybe you wouldn't even be able to hear me. I was very soft-spoken coming into recruitment. But that's something that's really important about entrepreneurship. You learn a lot of your soft skills, how to speak and how to be confident when conveying your ideas. So we did a lot of class presentations, and we taught students, how do you present your ideas? How do you build a slide deck that's engaging to students and reaching different audiences? So we went into different classes, went to our math classes, our science classes, our engineering classes, our computer science classes. I think 75 classrooms was our reach, their first time around. And then from there, about 2,000 students were reached through our class presentations. And we wanted to introduce the team to them, tell them about all our different subsystems and how they could be involved as part of the team. So those were our main goals, to educate them on the fact that we existed, to encourage them on how to join, and we also set a join date. This was really important because if we had a new member night, when we have a new member night, you have everyone starting on the same time, and you're able to start a curriculum from that day forward. So from our new member night, we had a planned curriculum of CAD training, and we emphasized all this recruitment during August. So we came back to school and we ran through presentations, 10 to 15 minutes maximum in each of the classrooms where we had students. It was a coordinated effort. We had a large spreadsheet up with which students had which periods as a free period, which students were in which math classes, so we could align that as much as possible and get as much coverage to the classes. We looked to our 9th, 10th, 11th, and 12th graders that year, since a lot of them had missed out on the team due to COVID. Like my year right now, I'm the only senior who has been on the team 4 years. There's no one else who made it through, who joined our team COVID that is my grade level. Everyone at this point was recruited through this outreach effort. Like the people you see in this room are in that 971 shirts are more than likely recruited through class presentations. And this was something our team hadn't done before, and it was really helpful to get it out versus a word of mouth traveling about our team, but every student knew about it, and this was something that they could participate in. And then that led to our They're Everywhere. We wore our yellow shirts. It came as a surprise. Everyone would just be like, oh my gosh, there's another one. They're everywhere. Were we everywhere? No, we had probably about 10 people total, but we made our reach known. By the end of those 2 weeks, majority of students on campus knew about 971 and how awesome of a team we were going to be this next season, and how we got a lot of our students kind of brought into the team and trained. We actually had freshmen starting on machines and manufacturing and CAD their starting year, and this was something we changed versus prior years. In previous seasons, we mainly had our upperclassmen working on the CAD, but we wanted to shift it to get them engaged and get them involved faster. That way, by the time you're your senior, you have so many years of experience behind you in that element. And then we wanted to target our media classes as well. So my first year I did this was actually the year before I was president. I did this just to all classrooms. We got 58 people to join from 15. At that point, we had quadrupled the size of the team. So we went from 15 to, we got about 60 people joining our first time we did this. And then that was our first year. We were marketing it purely as mechanical and as software and how we are a strong team in those elements. So we got a lot of people on the mechanical and on the software side. Our software side went from about 2 or 3 students to a room of 20. We saw a large growth in our strength in our teams. But one team that was left behind in that process was our entrepreneurship department. So when I came in as president in 2022 to 2023, I created a specific media-related presentation. So we went to our arts classrooms as well. We went to Freestyle Academy, which is our kind of a joint school with our campus that is more arts-focused, in order to get them engaged in robotics. So maybe you don't see yourself building robots, but you see yourself working on digital media. You see yourself working on photography. You see yourself editing videos. We even did some animation. So those are all elements that we can get people included as part of our team. If you're a strong writer and you really love the storytelling aspect, there is a place for you here on 971. So we had 2 presentations and 2 different slide decks. So we were able to get more recruitment into the entrepreneurship side of our team. Oops, there we go. All right, now moving to the next year. This is 2023 to 2024, and our entrepreneurship right now is Maya, and she is an amazing student who was working with us on entrepreneurship last year and was our awards subsystem lead the previous year. So Maya is our president moving into this season. Since I'm a senior, I'm also still on the team. So I am working kind of like helping her out, teaching her like the lessons I've learned, but she's taking the main leadership role this season on the entrepreneurship side. Yes.
Is this intentional, that instead of having a senior leading that group, you have someone who's Maya's a junior?
Yes.
Right. But you're still around as the past president to guide her and everything. So was that intentional, or did it just happen? And is that something you guys are going to try to do? Mm-hmm. It seems really smart.
Yeah. So the question was if this is part of our succession model and if it was planned for us to have a senior who was president last year still advise a junior. This is the first year that we've had this happen. It was in part due to the fact that I started as a junior in entrepreneurship and I had done secretary 2 years prior. So I have gone through that role, and something we have on our philosophy on our team is every role should be a 30% stretch for you. As soon as you get that leadership title, you should not know how to do everything. You're going to learn in that role and grow. So that's the reasoning behind having a new student come in and take over. Since this has been working well, I see now that Maya's a junior, her senior year more than likely will continue this model, but it hasn't been fully set in our handbook yet. Yeah, thank you. So this is our subsystem approach part 2. So we condensed our team development and our school relations role into one with our just general team development idea. And then we have the same 5 subsystems, but this year we're going more in depth with commitment. So in our first season, we assigned subsystem roles and just had general meetings as an entrepreneurship team. But this year, going into our year, we're actually going to do one-on-one meetings with our, or like small group meetings with our like leads for each. So Maya and myself, and potentially our like entrepreneurship mentor, Mr. Spicer as well, will meet with our leads just to check in on where they're at, support them, to improve communication. So we're going to do, we have students who have done this in the past, working on it, as well as people who are part of our entrepreneurship team and working on specific tasks, checking in with those leaders. The idea behind subsystem leads this year is less that you're doing the work for each of these elements, but more that you're providing the logistics and the structure. So we're differentiating between being a leader and being an individual contributor. So individual contributors are really important in making sure every task and every role gets filled. That means writing the impact award essay. That means you are planning an outreach event. And your overall subsystem lead is the one who has the grand scope of here's our timeline, here are our deadlines, checking in with those individual contributors who are part of your entrepreneurship sub-team. So think of it like a mechanical robot. You have your subsystem lead. They're not going to CAD every single part of the arm. They're going to actually probably do less CAD than the students, other students on the team. They're going to talk to other students and get them involved. They're delegating out the tasks, but at the end of the day, it's their responsibility to check in with, okay, have we got this done? How can I support you? It's more of a support and logistical role. And then these are our 5 sub-teams as we're moving into our next year. And we're looking to kind of involve more students. And we've done a poll of our entirety of our team who are interested. And they are now like known for who are the leads to go to if you're interested in any of these subsections. So communication is a really big point in entrepreneurship this year. So this is what I mentioned with like your smaller group check-ins with your sub-leads, but also big entrepreneurship meetings. In the past, we've had our separate entrepreneurship meetings where we meet as an entrepreneurship team. But looking into this next season, we're meeting on our Saturdays when our lab is open to everyone. And our last hour, we gather everyone who's at the lab in the engineering room, and we talk through what are our current tasks. Hey, there's a flyer that needs to be made about Spartan series. Do we have a volunteer for that? Opening it up to the broader team and always announcing, making announcements on general channel about any events that are happening, as well as at the beginning of meetings. So on Wednesdays, we start with a large team circle where everyone's in one room and we talk about each subsystem gives an update about what they're doing. And we are always talking about what is in the works, what we're working on, how we can get involved. And then our communication on project updates is done through Entrepreneurship channel on Slack. That way you can reach out, get feedback on where you're at, and continue to work on that in a smaller channel. And then when you need volunteers or more students involved, that's when you send it out to general. And this is how we are planning to have a more organized entrepreneurship team in the year moving forward, setting the foundation with communication as well as subsystem leads as outlined in our business plan. That way it is kind of sustainable year after year, as you mentioned earlier with your question, being able to pass on your skills to the next entrepreneurship president. That is something that we are doing this year and likely will continue. Yeah, thank you. This is what I have. This is my last slide, so if you have any questions, go. Yes?
What has been like Spartan Robotics' approach to like sponsorships and like sort of securing like funds?
The question is, what is your approach to sponsorships on Spartan Robotics? On Spartan Robotics, we approach sponsorships by emailing companies that we have parents working at or mentors working at. We also have long-standing relationships with certain companies that we update with like a newsletter, just an email letting them know like what we're doing, what we're working on, so we maintain that contact. We have also done, we're going to actually demo at Intuitive, which is one of our sponsors. There's like sponsor events that we do to keep them engaged in our team. Reaching out to new sponsors, that's been through emailing. And we actually get a lot of our money through Benevity. So if your team hasn't heard of Benevity, I would highly recommend looking into that. That is your volunteer hours from all your mentors and your parents. There are companies who match that. So Microsoft is a company that matches it, Intuitive, and then we have a lot of matching from Blue River on our team. So that's where we get a large amount of our sponsorship. Yeah.
For grant applications, how is that? How do you guys do that? Do students write it? Do mentors write it? Do they collaborate? I'm just curious about that whole division of labor.
The question was, how does the grant process work and whether there's collaboration between students and mentors. Whenever we're applying to a grant, the students will go through like writing out the first draft and get mentor feedback on it. Anything that they missed or anything people want to add, we'll often work together in that process. So we'll send something out to the entrepreneurship channels, oftentimes how it works, and then we'll get students involved from there. Do we have any other questions? Yes.
For school relations, if I understand it right, to be like communicating with like the school administration and like the ASB, is that generally handled by students or mentors?
School relations with ASB is done through students, with students attending our Council of Presidents meeting, where most of our information is given to students. But on the side of like facility requests, we submit the formal form, but we need mentor sign off, and any major asks of the school go through our mentors. Our 2 lead mentors are always at least on thread in any emails and communications with school admin.
So you mentioned you have 2 mentors for the entrepreneurship group?
Yes, we have 2 entrepreneurship mentors. Mr. Spicer is our lead entrepreneurship mentor, and then Mr. Massault, one of our lead mentors, also helps out the entrepreneurship team.
Do they work together on everything, or do they divide up areas and concentrate?
The Mr. Spicer works on majority of our entrepreneurship projects. He's kind of been our core mentor throughout the process, and Mr. Massault will kind of provide feedback on certain processes, but Mr. Spicer is our core mentor for the entrepreneurship team. And then we have mentors like Mr. Silverman, who's here with the cameras this event. So we have mentors who come in and support depending on like the focus of each event. So sometimes we'll pull in other mentors as needed.
Oh,
Yeah.
Like, I think you guys go for like impact every year, right? So like when you're like writing like business plan and things, like how do you like, I guess, what is your approach to writing those?
When we were working on writing out our business plan, we started off with a Google document with just outlining what our goals were in like a bullet point brainstorming style, and then how do we break that up into different roles. We started with thinking about different areas that entrepreneurship covers, what are our responsibilities as an entrepreneurship team, but also what impact do we want to have throughout that season. So for our like business plan, we had up at the top our just like what are our subsystems, and we broke them down and we brainstormed what each subsystem can cover and how it can be stronger. So whether that be team development, we were like, okay, that covers your onboarding, that covers your recruitment, that covers team culture, and then how do we level up on those? How do we continue to go further? So Fun Fridays was under team culture. So from Fun Fridays, then you're now planning ideas to like make that idea larger. Does that make sense? It's kind of like a tree diagram.
Thank you.
Yeah. Yes.
Do you have like a theme for your Impact Award essay every year?
The question is, do we have a theme for our Impact Award essay this year? Answer. So for our Impact Award essay, we'd like to tie it together with storytelling, where we're not just listing out what we've done, but tying it together with a mission. So there was one year where we used our mission statement, achieve anything, break boundaries, and create communities as our theme. And then that was our ABCs of our team. That was our Impact Award essay. I was talking about the ABCs of 971. And then we've done Impact Award themes relating to what we are focusing on that season and what we feel like aligns with our team's like values. When we were brainstorming, we talk about like this past year, we wanted to talk about how education is something really big on our team, and then how like innovation was our other side of that. So how we go about like teaching others. Yes.
Do you guys mentor an FLL or FTC team?
The question was, do we mentor an FLL or FTC team? Answer to that is almost. So we're starting an FTC team is our plan this coming season. And then as of FLL, we have 971 students who have mentored FLL teams, just they're not directly affiliated with our team. So personally, I have mentored 3 FLL teams at this point in time, a school team and 2 community-based teams. And we involve students in FLL as mentors, but they're not directly associated with 971.
Do you have any tips on like starting an FTC team in another school?
The question is, do I have any tips about starting an FTC team in another school? This is something I am currently in the process of. One thing that I've learned is that you want to make sure that your admins are constantly in the loop in like your communication. So talking to the school admin is important in getting permission as a club. If you're operating as a subgroup of your club, making sure that's communicated well and also getting a teacher sponsor on that. And then one thing I've learned is like looking at how you are going to be teaching that curriculum to your students. So making sure that since it does happen before build season, so aligning that with their off-season schedule and involvement there. Yeah. Thank you.